welcome back to our Book Talk segment of the program. Great to welcome back a man who's been with us a few times before, always has a great book out, particularly with different types of food preparation, and this is called, the newest one is called How to Sous-Vide, Easy, Delicious Perfection Any Night of the Week. We're talking with Daniel Shumski today. He's been with us before for his book How to Instant Pot and Will It Waffle, and he's an expert on these kind of things, and Daniel joined us by telephone again. Daniel, good to talk with you. How have you been?
It's great to be here.
I was just checking the archives. I think we've had you on 2 or 3 times. I know we've had you on 2 or 3 times before. I think of the Waffle book and the Instant Pot book, so you're keeping quite busy. That's good.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm trying to do with this book, How to Sous Vide, a little bit of what I did with my last Instant Pot book, which is to show people how to take advantage of this technique.
I have to admit, I've heard the term, but I didn't really know what it meant until I had a chance to read through the book. I've never knew it was actually a type of cooking. I've heard the term before, but I didn't really have any. So you taught me something at least.
Right. So it's a high-end restaurant technique of cooking that has come to the home chef in the last few years. So it's something else that started quite high-end dining, and now it's a lot more accessible to the home chef.
It's actually like a specific unit, right, that you get, and the food actually is cooked within, if I get it right, I've read through it, but in like plastic bags or some kind of bag, and it's a different type of cooking, isn't it?
Right. So what we're talking about here is a water bath in, let's say, something like a stock pot. And then you put the food in a plastic bag and set it in that water bath. And then the thing that regulates the temperature of the water bath and makes all this magic happen is something called a Sous-Vide Circulator. And those are available in a ton of different places from a ton of different manufacturers at this point. And once you have that, that is what brings the water up to temperature and then keeps it at precisely that temperature for as long as you want it. And so that's what makes the magic of sous vide cooking happen.
Now, you mentioned in the book restaurants cook this way. Is that why restaurant food sometimes tastes different and oftentimes better than you get it at home? Is it because of this type of cooking?
That's exactly right. And, restaurants are fond of it for the same reason that home cooks will be, which is that it produces fantastic results and it's consistent and it's reliable. There is zero guesswork because in a restaurant environment, you don't have a lot of room for guesswork. You have no room for guesswork. And so by bringing this sous vide technique to home chefs, I'm hoping to show them the same reliable and consistent results.
Now this also, you can cook in preparation, right? And keep it longer, and then all you have to do is heat it up. Am I right about that?
That's right. So let's take the example of a pork chop, for instance. So if you want to make that pork chop the day before, you can cook it in the sous vide in the water bath and then stash it in the fridge until the next day and then take it out. It's already perfectly cooked from edge to edge. So all you'll need to do is throw it on the stovetop or under the broiler or even on the barbecue and just give it, say, a minute on each side and get some color on it, and then you are ready to go.
It gives a more uniform temperature throughout whatever you're cooking, piece of meat or vegetable. Is that the difference of it? In other words, an oven doesn't always do that accurately throughout the whole thing you're cooking, right?
That is precisely the idea. So when you're in an oven, the edges might be more done than the center, and you don't even know without looking what degree of doneness it is. When you're cooking in the sous vide bath, you know that steak, for example, is going to be the same color and the same degree of doneness from edge to edge and end to end, and there's no guesswork about it.
And I know you talk in the book as well, and we'll get into some of the recipes too, but it takes longer, right? There's more time involved, and there's some things you got to do just to make sure the food is safer, right? Am I right about that?
Well, I talk about food safety in the book. There are a few considerations, but it's nothing that you really need to worry about if you follow the recipes.
Hmm.
I think the thing to know again is that I give step-by-step instructions in how to sous vide, and if you follow the recipes, it really takes the guesswork out of it.
The equipment you need, you mentioned the unit, the sous vide unit, readily available now and are to the home chef.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, pretty much anyone will online will ship one to you, or of course you can go into the big box stores or the kitchen supply stores and find one in person.
You talk about the 100, I should say, the book has 100 plus recipes in it, including not only meat, but fish as well. I guess any type of meat or fish, chicken, poultry, there's no one better than the other. It works for everything, right?
It works for a ton of stuff. And I think if people have either cooked sous vide for themselves or had something cooked sous vide for them, it's probably been a piece of meat, because meat is an excellent showcase because of those consistent and perfect results. But in writing how to sous vide, I wanted to show people that the technique can really go beyond meat. And so I have seafood recipes in there, vegetable recipes, a chapter on eggs, and of course a chapter on dessert to finish the book.
Yeah, I didn't realize you could do eggs that way till I went through the book. I figured, oh, this is just going to be meat, maybe vegetables, but eggs work, huh?
Yeah, eggs are great because, a lot of things you would either put in a glass jar before they go in the water bath, or maybe in a plastic bag and then put it in the water bath. But eggs come with their own container. So you can cook them in the eggshells and just let them float around in the water bath with the times and the temperatures that I give in the book, and you're ready to go.
I guess probably the way, like we said before, restaurants cook meat. I guess steak is probably a great option for people if they don't want to bother with maybe fancy other recipes, but just a good piece of steak. You can do this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the way to showcase a really nicely done steak. And again, you don't have to poke it with your thumb or stab it with a meat thermometer or slice into it and take a peek to know to what degree that it's done. You've decided beforehand whether you want it medium, medium well, medium rare, what have you. And then you plop it in the bath, and when it comes out, it's going to be exactly that degree of doneness from edge to edge and end to end.
And you mentioned, and I enjoyed reading through these as well, your dessert recipes, which, again, you wouldn't think you could do it this way, but I guess you have, creme brulee in there. You have pumpkin pie cups. I've never seen that before. That looks interesting. So even the ice cream, right,
yeah,
you can do.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's a cheesecake recipe in there that I love too. And one of the tricky things about cheesecake, of course, is making sure it's done, but not overdone, and that it doesn't crack, but, you don't want it underdone either. And sous vide takes all the guesswork out of that because you're designating exactly the temperature you want to within 1 degree, and then how long it's been cooking. And so you're doing it to precisely the right point.
Yeah, great idea, and unique recipes as well, as you always have in the book. How to Sous Vide, Easy, Delicious Perfection Any Night of the Week is the full title of the book. Contains over 100 simply irresistible recipes, and we've been talking with Daniel Shumski today. Daniel, give out your website once again. I know the book's probably available everywhere, but what website should they go to?
Well, people can go anywhere that they buy books. So whether that's in person or online, they can just ask for How to Sous Vide, Sousvide, Sous Vide, and they'll get the book. And I hope people enjoy it.
Great. We'll also put a link up on our website as well. But Daniel, great talking to you again. I'm sure you have another one in the works, so we'll look forward to talking to you sometime in 22. And thanks for being with us again.
It's always a pleasure, Doug.